proudest day, and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all we said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally podcast, Season 3, Episode 38. And we're going to talk rallying once again, Connor. But I suppose before we start, please like, share, subscribe, rate, all those things make a huge difference. And thank you for all the 5-star reviews last week, gratefully appreciate it. So this week we're going to talk Rali Ceredigion, round to the ERC, the BRC and everything else as well. Fantastic. Galway Summer, great to see the National Championship. It's going to go, really goes down to the wire. And then we're also going to preview the Lakeland stages up near Enniskillen too. But Connor, you know, we talked last week about Ceredigion, how much we're looking forward. And sometimes you maybe overhype the thing, but my goodness, didn't it live up to it all?
Listen, it didn't disappoint at all. It was fantastic to follow, between social media and keeping up with ERC and the results and everything else. It was great. It really did live up to it. And you know, there was drama, there was action the whole way throughout. You know, you didn't know what was going to happen next.
Yeah, and the one thing that I took away from it, above all else, you know, and it was a bit parochial about the whole thing, the way our guys performed so well, it just shows the pace here, you know, of the Tarmac Championship. You know, we had Callum Devine setting top 3 times. You know, Keith Cronin was up to 3rd before he went off. You know, John and Wall, the times they were setting over the weekend, you know, this was the cream of European competitors. And our guys were fit to mix it with them. And, you know, Callum seemed to be really driving within himself too as well. And, like, Cronin, like, it still didn't feel completely comfortable with the car on Saturday and was sitting 3rd overall. I think it just says a whole lot about what we have here.
Look, you know, we've always talked up how good the Tarmac Championship is, and you can see that. And like when you look at, take Matt Edwards, you know, on home turf, a solid performer when he comes and competes against our guys. But you know, Matt was not, you know, at the sharp end of that event in Ceredigion, but yet setting some cracking times. And you know, we had some of our guys ahead of him, and I was amazed by that. I genuinely was.
But then, you know, there was a point on Saturday when you could just see that something just seemed to click with Matt. The confidence seemed to come back. He set a fastest time on the penultimate stage and looked to be set for a really good time again on the final stage. But then he had a small issue with I think it was the pop-off or something. I think that was, or there was something that the car had to be reset again anyway in the middle of the stage. Like, so, you know, maybe there that has to be positive, that the confidence is up again then too. If he does come now to Cork, you know, and yes, he has an outside chance of the title. But if he does come, he could make a big difference on where the title ends up.
Absolutely, definitely could. And look, you know, I'd love to see him come to Cork. I hope it all does come to happen. And again, you know, it was a good bounce back for him after the disappointment of the Ulster. It was great to see. It was just unfortunate. I don't know. I just had maybe a higher expectation of, you know, a home event for Matt. But, you know, as you say, a couple of technical issues kind of just ruined it then on the Sunday.
Yeah, for sure. But like, no, the star of the event, I think, was Callum. You know, the performance they put in just glided in below the radar, only for like a kind of maybe like a misfortunate tyre choice on the Sunday for the last loop. But that was a lottery, you know. Only but for that, I think he could have been on the podium or very, very close to it.
Very close to it. And like, you know, he's still only settling into the Skoda. 3rd event for the, you know, in the car. Still doesn't have the setup 100%, probably still isn't 100% comfortable with that car. And again, we had tricky conditions. Look how slippery it got when it rained. Look who was taken out, and you know, either on the Saturday with the incidents on the side of the road or hitting something, or you know, too deep a cut and a spin, or when it got slippy and wet, we saw how, you know, Chris got Ingram got taken out, you know, and we saw Keith getting taken out, and there was Callum still setting solid times while he's getting used to that Skoda.
That's for sure. And like the you know, the conditions, whenever the rain came in Sunday afternoon, it just looked, you know, the road surface just seemed to be like glass in places as well too, you know. It just shows you like how quickly conditions can change. like from bone dry, spectacular, high grip to suddenly no grip at all.
Look, and take Jon Armstrong. Same place as caught Krunching. John had a huge moment there and got away with it.
Yeah, it's just fine margins. It really is. And then you talk about Jon Armstrong, and then himself and Wal Creighton both had a unfortunate like a puncture, and Wal had a spin as well on the Saturday. But the way they bounced back on the Sunday then too, like John, like fantastic. One fastest time and a couple of second fastest times is from memory. Just real coming of age, just shows his true potential in the ERC.
Absolutely. Some solid stage times from both of them. As you say, both struggled on the Saturday with punctures and setbacks. And again, I suppose it was fortunate for them. It was 2 BRC rounds rolled into one that they could reset on Sunday and go again with it being a brand new rally as such.
Yeah, and like Wall coming away there with top points. Yes, I know like John took a penalty to allow him to do that, but like to be able to do that, to clear the head and Saturday night and go out there was just a blank page on the Sunday morning, like, and be able to do that just speaks volumes for the guys as well.
Look, mentally, how strong do you have to be to put those knockbacks behind you and go again, fresh, clean slate the next day? I don't know personally if I could do it.
Yeah.
So fair play to them.
Yeah, and like what a tricky day to do it as well. If your confidence wasn't 100%, you would have been off the road very easily.
Yeah, look, as Mikey Galvin said to us before, it's fine margins, between being fast or fastest and being off the road.
Yeah, for sure. But the one standout crew from the whole weekend, and you get a chance to speak to him, Hayden Paddon. He just was a different level from everybody else, really, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Himself and John.
Complete. Hayden has won that event 2 years ago, but he came and domination is the only word you can use. He absolutely floored the opposition. There's nobody got close. The only person I think beat him was James Wilson.
No, James Williams. Yeah,
Williams. Apologies, sorry, James Williams. Yeah, beat him on one stage. Bar that, nobody could touch him.
No, especially on the Saturday. And I know, like, even our guys, like we talked at the start of the year about the cuts in Galway and one thing and another, and the effect that how much more our guys were cutting now this year compared to previous years. You could hear Keith at the end of the stages, Matt at the end of the stages. How big the cuts were that these guys were taking. These guys were taking cuts to a whole new level.
Yeah, like the cuts were serious. Like, I've seen pictures there in the last couple of days of cars like almost buried in a cut, on a corner. It's just incredible, especially the running down the field, the back markers. But where they were cutting and how they were cutting, and I suppose the difficulty with that was the pollution it was pulling out onto the road as well, which again, once it got a bit tricky, slippy with the wet, did make conditions fairly hazardous.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But here, come here. There's no point in us telling you all about it anyway, because like we got speaking to some of the competitors as well too. So first of all, we're going to hear from Hayden Paddon. That will then go into Jon Armstrong and Wal Creighton, and then finally we'll hear then from Matt Cotton, who gives us his sort of overview from the BRC point of view.
Hayden, congratulations as well on Rali Ceredigion. A very dominant performance. Like, you really did blitz the stages on the first day.
Yeah, thank you. It was obviously, firstly, a very enjoyable rally. Obviously, you had some good memories there from 2 years ago. So to come back and repeat it was certainly a nice surprise, even for us. We probably weren't expecting to have that quite, that sort of pace, but everything just clicked. And obviously, I love the stages there. And it was just an enjoyable weekend.
And yeah, you mentioned their back-to-back wins on Ceredigion. Probably wouldn't be your preferred surface, like we all have you pictured or pegged as the gravel expert, but like fairly strong performances onto tarmac when you get onto that surface.
Yeah, like I actually probably rate the Wales rally there on tarmac probably the closest sort of tarmac rally we get to gravel, because it is so undulating. It is quite bumpy in places. The roads are narrow, so you're often doing a lot of cutting. The car's moving around a lot more than what it would do on a traditional tarmac rally, if you like. So I think there's a little bit of a crossover. But yeah, for sure, when you look at the European Championship this year, of the 8 rallies, 5 of them on tarmac. So the majority of the championship that we're doing this year is on tarmac. And, I think the more and more I do it, the better we get. And the thing is that people forget, I've done over 200 rallies now, but of those 200, less than 30 of them have been tarmac. So, we're still talking 15% of my career's been on tarmac. So it's still learning.
Yeah, and we're probably with where the development of the Rally 2 I-20 has gone, it's probably better suited to tarmac in its current format than the gravel events.
I disagree. For me, the car's more competitive on gravel. Okay, it obviously clicked at Wales and it all worked well, but on a traditional tarmac rally, we're lacking. On gravel, the thing is, on gravel, you can make more of a difference as a driver. You can make up for performances. There's a lot of variables in the grip and ever changing conditions. On tarmac, it is a lot more like a circuit where you need absolutely everything to be at its optimum for the car and for yourself and for the pace notes to be performing at a high level. So for me, the car is more competitive on gravel, but of course, the car's been able to have some very strong results throughout Europe on tarmac as well.
And we saw the weather play a little part as well, especially on the Sunday there, and the stages got very slippy whenever it rained. Like, did you have to back off there, or could you? Did you have enough margin to be conservative, or was it a case of you couldn't really risk it?
No, we certainly were conservative on Sunday with that rain. Obviously, it was pretty slippery, and particularly on the first stage of the morning when we come across both Chris Ingram's and Keith Cronin's accident, that sort of magnified just how tricky the conditions were. So it's really tough in those situations when you have quite a big lead. You obviously want to protect it, but you obviously need to, still drive fast enough to have a rhythm and actually make the car and make the tyres work. So it's a balancing act, but yeah, hopefully that's where a little bit of age and wisdom comes into play on our part and helping to manage that.
And it's been a fairly competitive ERC for you this year. Like, and generally, it's very competitive. Like, I think you're the seventh winner, on 7 events, in this year's championship. And plus, for yourself, that's the first win you had this year. So it's been quite a tough challenge this year.
Yeah, we're certainly probably been up against it more than what we expected, especially after last year. Like we obviously knew we had the target painted on our back. As we mentioned, the European Championship is more of a tarmac championship this year than gravel, with the majority of the events being tarmac. So that doesn't work to our strong suit. But of course, with each and every rally we go to, it's just so super competitive. You get all the locals that come into each rally. Of course, you got the championship regulars that are very fast, and the reality is we've been lacking performance this year for one way or another that we've been trying to get to the bottom of, and hopefully we started to crack that open with the result last week. But yeah, it hasn't panned out the way we wanted it to, and I must say it's been mentally very tough because I don't compete to finish fourth or fifth or sixth on rallies. This does my head in. I'm a very competitive person like everyone else who's doing the rallies, and I want to be winning rallies. Obviously, winning the championship's important as well. But when you're driving stages on the absolute limit, as we have been doing this year, and not having the results to show that, it's been mentally pretty taxing on that side of things.
And I'm sure physically it's quite taxing for yourself. Like for yourself and John, you're making the trip to Europe, long haul flights. That's a tough add on top of the normal wrecking and prep and all the other stuff that goes into getting ready for a rally.
Yeah, look, it's part of the game for us. We haven't done as much this year, luckily. So we've been in Europe for the last 2 months now for 4 rallies on the trot. So that was quite good. Up until then, we were traveling back and forth for each event. But at the end of the day, I've been doing this travel back and forth from New Zealand my whole career. So it's sort of normalized, shall we say. So you work out strategies that work for you in terms of dealing with jet lag and making sure you're prepared. So for me, this is not a problem. If anything, just gives you a bit of time to do a bit of study or a bit of sleep on the plane to get yourself ready.
And you're leading the championship now, 27 points. Final round is in Poland again on tarmac in October. Will we see you back for that?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a predicament at the moment. Obviously, it's not quite enough points to the bank the championship. We only ever had budget to do 7 of the 8 rounds for both us and the team. So yeah, as it stands right now, no, we're not there. But obviously, we don't want to give away a potential championship as well. So something we have to work on with both the team and partners to see if we can make it possible. Obviously, the economic climate's pretty tough going for everyone at the moment, so it's not that easy to just come across money. This is a privately funded program, so we have to find the funds the same as anyone else. So we'll certainly try, but as it stands right now, no, we won't be there.
Right. And again, then looking forward to next year, is there any plans in place? Is it back to competing at home again, or will you still be looking at international events?
And I'm still certainly looking at international events. Our team here, we're sort of growing and we're trying to branch out what our New Zealand team is doing internationally, and whether that's across the Tasman in Australia, or we'd even like to look into America as well. Look at some other avenues, and taking our team, our cars around the world, and look at other opportunities. Of course, we never rule anything out in Europe, but as it stands right now, to privately fund something in Europe is probably a little bit too tough with what's available for us within the Hyundai brand. We've obviously got a very long and loyal partnership with Hyundai New Zealand. We're in our 10th year together now, and that means a lot to me. It's a very important relationship for not only projects we're doing on the motorsport scene, but we've got some pretty interesting technology projects happening in the background as well. So it's important for us to keep that relationship going. And of course, yeah, with where the Hyundai Rally 2 car is going, and it makes it tough for us with what options may exist for us in Europe. So we're not ruling anything out, but we are looking at different options as well.
And speaking of that relationship you have with Hyundai New Zealand, you're back out competing in 2 weeks' time in the Daybreak Rally, or Daybreaker Rally, sorry.
Yes, yeah, next week is the next round of the New Zealand Rally Championship. So we've got a very, very busy schedule here over the next 3 months. I think I've got 4 days off between now and Christmas. So full on and straight into testing tomorrow with the electric rally car. We've got some events coming up with the electric rally car as well. We've got another car coming into the country that we're looking forward to debuting soon. And then, of course, we've still got 3 rounds of the New Zealand Rally Championship left. We've got customers doing both rallies and circuit racing here as well, which is ramping up over the summer, as in the New Zealand summer. So, there's plenty going on. So it's good. Good problem to have.
And with, you mentioned the electric program there, I mean, I suppose probably haven't heard as much about that in the last little while. How is that developing? Where is that at? What do you see coming down the line for that shortly?
Yeah, it sort of hit a bit of a brick wall with some part supply issues that we were having, which meant we had to go back to the drawing board with the future development of the car. So, in its current form, it's still an electric rally car. We're now looking to bring some hydrogen in. So we've just introduced a hydrogen charging system for the car that we're now going to be using at upcoming events. So refueling the car, we're recharging the car remotely using hydrogen. And of course, we are looking at going down that route as well with the rally car, and maybe incorporating some of that into the car to help us give it the range. So we've got some very clever people here. We've got a very clever engineer, Matt, who's working on things a lot. That's what he's working on 24/7. And we're hoping by mid next year we'll be launching a pretty big upgrade on the package that's going to take it to the next level.
And are you getting interest from manufacturers, from part suppliers about the work you're doing?
Not so much. We're obviously on the other side of the world, so we're a little bit hidden from some of that, if you like. But that's why, as a team, we want to start branching out and doing more projects globally, and put ourselves more on the map. I think in this day and age with technology and travel, like if Jon and I can travel back and forth on a whim straight in and out of European events, then it's no problem for us as a team to be able to support people around the world or take on engineering projects. So we are branching out. We've got a few other engineering projects that are now starting to take shape, which has come about because of our motorsport programs, and that's what we want to continue growing and developing.
Jon, William, Rali Ceredigion, was great to see you as actual teammates. I know you're both M Sport drivers at the moment, but actually competing together. And again, a relationship that goes back, beyond this as well. I think, Jon, was there a bit of coaching involved maybe in William's early days?
Yeah, Connor, it's really good to be back on, and as you said, good to be teammates with William at the weekend. I think me and William have, rallied against each other quite a bit over the years, and especially junior WRC, and we had 2 years there, and more early in our career, whenever we were doing it was a Carry Duff Forklift R2 Championship 2015 in Northern Ireland. We were racing against each other, and Williams definitely came on a lot since then. And for sure, when William started driving, he was coming from rally sprints. I remember we took him into the forest near us with the Fiesta R2 that we owned as a family with my brother Neil. And I think William done a couple of rallies in that car, but William probably know that story a bit better about taking him for a passenger run.
Yeah, I remember going up and gave me this Pelter helmet that was about 3 sizes too big for me, and the intercom kept dropping in and out of it. And John obviously knew the bit of road very well, so I think it was probably the first time I'd ever sat in a rally car on gravel, so no idea what to expect. But he just went flat out from the start, and there's a big jump in that bit of the road somewhere, and every time we landed, the intercom cut out and the helmet dropped over my eyes, so I couldn't hear anything, I couldn't see anything, and it was yeah, it was quite a scary experience. I thought I was flying, well, probably were flying. Um, but yeah, that seems like a long time ago now, and we've done a lot since then. So suppose looking forward to being teammates with M Sport, in a Rally 2 car at a European Championship level event is pretty cool and quite special.
Yeah, it was great the way I suppose everything came together. That it was a round of the BRC and a round of the ERC. That the two of you actually could be working together as such.
Yeah, well, John's obviously there, part of the European Championship, and we were there really for the BRC, but entered to the ERC as well. So, we could help each other, and thankfully that worked out well on the Sunday. It was cool for me being a part of the ERC. You've all live in the car, the cameras, so that was a new experience, and you get a lot of publicity out of that. And I suppose after going off, I've learned that you also have to watch your P's and your Q's, and just remember that you're on camera at all times. But that was a really cool experience.
And what do you call it? I suppose the event started out with a qualifying stage on a tarmac event. How important is the qualifying stage? Like, does the road position matter that much, John?
It's very important. Okay, it depends on the style of the rally, but with the stages that we found in Ceredigion, there's a lot of cutting opportunity. So that means every car that goes through the cut is going to pull out more mud and gravel onto the tarmac, and it just means you're getting slower and slower. So it was always going to be crucial to have a good qualifying and be as fast as possible. And I think it was good for me and William that we had really good potential in that qualifying stage, because it wasn't actually that representative of the rest of the rally. It was very narrow and technical. But yeah, thankfully we had good pace, so it meant that we could be third and fourth starting on Saturday on the proper stages. So yeah, it's really important. Okay, if you're running a bit further back, you can still set some good times, but you're going to really struggle to be the fastest driver. And Hayden's times on Saturday were unbelievable, and he had a clean road, but I think he was also a cut above everyone at the weekend somehow. No one could get close to him, but we give it a good go anyway. And yeah, it was a really, really good event. As William said, it's always really good to be part of the ERC, to be in the live coverage, every stage live. You've got the camera in the car. Everyone at home, if they're not at the event, they can follow you and see what you're up to, and really keep a close eye on what you're doing. So no, it was overall fantastic event, and actually good weather. I had to put some sun cream on the Friday, I think it was, doing the autograph session, and a couple of the Europeans were laughing at me, but I've got very sensitive skin.
And William, unfortunately, just Saturday morning, practically the first corner in the first stage of the morning, just you picked up a puncture. It wasn't going your way.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. It was kind of overall. It was over for an overall position after the first 4 kilometers of the stage. It was, in that rally, you have a lot of lips where you drop off the road and the cut and back off. I suppose one thing that I've learned from that rally that was having a good road position on the Saturday. If it was WRC, a lot of the corners that I would have taken a cut on, it was just natural instinct when you're doing the recce, because in the WRC, the previous cars before you, they're straight in there. Whereas when you have a good road position in the ERC, you don't necessarily need to take those cuts, and you can be faster by staying on the tarmac. So something for me just to learn going forward. But yeah, in the instances where we had the puncture, it wasn't really as a result of that. It was just some were unfortunate little rocks on the edges of the road, and for the second pass, each car starts to just take a little bit more, and you're trying to take a little bit more speed, and it's very easy to nick something on the insides of the corners. But yeah, the first one was just a mistake that probably in somewhere where we didn't need to be, or somewhere in the recce that I thought it would have been okay. But then when you come nearly at 100 mile an hour in the rally car, it's a little bit different, and you can easily do enough damage to pick up a puncture. So yeah, it was unfortunate, but yeah, and then to slide off into the grass on the first loop, kind of just was the icing on the cake to the morning that we didn't want. And that was really as a result of probably being too deep into a cut where we didn't need to be. So lots to learn from that. And then the Sunday was a bit more positive. We got a more clean run, and felt more comfortable in the car. But to be honest, it was a tricky rally the whole weekend. You're never really on the tires that you wanted to be, because you were trying to pick an option that was going to work for the majority of the stages, which meant that you're either going to have to cross or run tires that just weren't optimum for every stage, and maybe struggle to get into a bit of a rhythm with stuff like that, and just generally tricky stages. So I was glad that on the Sunday we could find a nicer rhythm, and then obviously the rain came, and probably one of the most shiny stages that I've done this year, with really slippery tarmac. So yeah, it was a difficult rally, and of course the Sunday was full points, a completely separate rally, so it gave us an opportunity to come back and start from zero. But then it was also a bit of a sprint event. It was only 4 stages, less kilometers, so you were trying to go as fast as you could over each stage just to try and get maximum BRC points.
And John, with Keith and Chris both going out on Sunday morning on the first stage of the morning, was that a bit of an eye opener for how tricky the conditions could be? Did you kind of have to be a bit more conservative, or was it, or you couldn't afford to be, and it was still going flat out?
I think as William said, that stage where Chris went off and Keith went off was very tricky in terms of the surface. It was, at the beginning, the first 4 kilometers was just the most shiny tarmac you could probably imagine. And I had a moment the second pass in the wet weather coming down to where Chris went off. It was just like ice. So yeah, difficult conditions, and I think in my head I knew that stage I didn't really want to push on it. It just didn't. I just knew it was so easy to make a mistake there. So yeah, it was unfortunate to see that those guys had issues, but it ultimately set up William for a good comeback on the Sunday, and then it was just a matter of driving. We were still comparing ourselves to the European Championship, and actually still kind of considering a top 3 position. It was possible, but a far, it would have been a big ask for us to get it, but it was still possible. So we were still pushing to see could we take any time, especially when the weather changed. So yeah, I think we only just about missed out on being able to do that. But yeah, in the end up, we then we had orders then to let William take the maximum points for the BRC, which obviously makes sense from a team's point of view, and we were able to get maximum points then on the Sunday for the team's championship and the British Championship also. So it was very good for M Sport as a whole, and as William said, I was entering his championship and he was entering my championship. So anyway, we can help each other on that event was obviously good for M Sport and good for MI Rally Academy as well.
And William, obviously you're competing from the BRC side, but you are entering the ERC. So from a benchmarking point of view or a speed point of view, were you just purely focused on your BRC rivals, or were you trying to see, could you put in times equivalent to some of the top ERC guys?
I think you'd be lying if you said that you didn't look at the ERC times as well. No, we were focused on getting full BRC points or maximizing our BRC result. But we knew from the start of the event that to do that, you're more than likely going to be in a good overall position because of the speed, with Chris and Oshin and all those other guys, Keith, especially with the run that Keith's been having on the Irish tarmac. We knew he was going to be fast. So we were focused on the BRC, but at the same time, that was going to place you in a nice position in the ERC. But, like Jon said, on the Sunday, it worked out well for us that we were able to get maximum points. So, obviously it's never nice for Jon to have to do that. I've never been in that position. So yeah, a lot of respect there for doing that and doing what the team had said. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, whilst you've never been in that position, I think there's a story before, is it from Ypres in 21, where you were helping each other out with regard to the junior WRC.
Yeah, we had a problem at the start of the rally in 21 in Ypres, and after that we lost a lot of time. I think we had to stop. We had a light on in the car, and it actually turned out to be a false alarm. But nevertheless, we lost a lot of time. And after that, we had a nice rally, and we got a lot of stage wins. So that in turn sort of helped Jon for the championship. So yeah, at least maybe that's what I can say that was payback for. I'm not sure if that all just adds up, but yeah, like we said before the call, hopefully it works out a little bit better for us this year than it did for Jon in the championship that year. But yeah, you see it in F1 and all these sort of disciplines all the time. It's normal for a team to work together, and I guess having the team championship in the BRC, it makes sense to do something like that. So it puts us in a good overall position now heading into the Cambrian, and I think it's it's kind of like a winner takes all situation. So I suppose if you told me at the start of the year that I'd be in a position to win the BRC going into the final round, it would have seemed quite surreal. But just how the season's gone, we've been quite consistent. We haven't won a rally yet, so
Technically, you have now.
well, sorry, yes, technically we have, but I don't have a first place trophy to show for it because Jon has that.
Yeah. Thankfully, William let me keep that one. So yeah, no, it's still really cool that we were able to do the podium the way the rally result kind of was. But yeah, it was good to help William, and teamwork makes the dream work. And for William, he's had a very strong couple of years, and it's important for the academy to keep that going. And from my point of view, I haven't had the strongest season, but this will be my strongest rally. And okay, winning a BRC round is something really cool. Having followed it my whole childhood and everything, but ultimately showing that we can do a job for M Sport and for the MI Rally Academy is more important for our future, for me and Owen as well. So yeah, we understand that it's a team game, and we have to keep in mind there's a lot of money involved as well. So yeah, let's hope now that William and Liam can have a good run. And as William said, it's winner takes all in the final rally, so it sets it up for a really interesting battle. And
Jon, you mentioned the academy there, and so I suppose it's a reminder there for anybody listening that this isn't just purely M Sport funded run you're having this year in the ERC and the Ceredigion as well. So there is a huge interest in there from the academy.
Yeah, 100%, and it's my first year being in the MI Rally Academy, and I think the support that we're all getting is fantastic. Obviously, you've got the financial support, but to have all the support from the wider team on all things from the mental side, preparation, nutrition, the academy training days, regular catch-ups, it's really good, and you can also rely on each other for any help too. Me and William are always talking to each other, but quite often you'll be talking to some of the other members, just providing some help or advice, or just having a general chit chat about stuff. And even for Ceredigion, we had a WhatsApp group where we could all put in questions or queries or anything that we seen that might catch someone out or anything like that. From an organizational point of view, that's a place where we can share that information and really help the more junior members competing there. I think we had like 10 crews, so that was really cool to see, with the the photo that we got at the start ramp and everything, it was a very special moment, I think, for Irish rallying. So yeah, it's a credit to everyone involved.
And William, there, John mentioned the support, and when you look at the tough day you had on Saturday, and then to kind of get your head reset for Sunday to go again, you've got M Sport there, you've got the academy there. That must be a huge, I don't know, shoulder to lean on type of thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I suppose in my own head, whenever we had the issues on Saturday, I just wanted to, if you could ever restart a day, that's just what I wanted to do. It was a bit of a nightmare, but so, obviously in those situations, it's easy to think, God, what's everybody gonna say back at service, and that's on your mind. But the team and the academy were right behind me, and it was just full focus on trying to work on Sunday, put the issues behind us. What's happened. So there was no issues that way. Everybody was very supportive, and I'm really appreciative of that. And like John said, there was 10 academy crews there, and myself and John were at quite high up the field and set good times in qualifying. So it wasn't if we were just there to make up the numbers. We were there to try and get a good result. And the academy has been going for quite a short time, relatively speaking, and everything else that has been going on in the rally world, it's quite new, and what it's achieved and how many drivers it's got at such a high level now is really impressive. And I think John Coyne and Sean McHugh, all the guys behind it, driving it, and all the other mentors and guys working with us should be really proud, because there's no one else in the world that is doing something like this. And like I said, it's not just a load of drivers going to different rallies. They're actually there to try and do a good job and have a good have a good year. So yeah, no, it was really nice to see. And like John said, we were all up getting a photo at the start of the rally, and yeah, I think like Bex Williams said, did we all just come over on our own boat? There's that many of us, so yeah, it was pretty cool to see.
And William, 1 point lead at the BRC getting into the final round. Is there a game plan yet?
Flat out. That's pretty much the only. It's quite simple, this one. I need to look at the points to fully understand it and all the different permutations. But from what I can see, it's kind of like a winner takes all situation, which is quite good, because like I said, technically I have won a rally, but we haven't won a rally yet in outright speed, and I feel like you need to do that to win a championship, and we got close, and we've shown that we did have the speed in the Grampian, so that'll be my aim. But like I said, to be going into a position to win the championship is pretty cool and pretty special. So when we first set out to do this championship at the start of the year, it was to try and dovetail the WRC program and get more seat time in the car. I don't think any of us expected to go and try and win it. So I'm glad that for the academy and everybody supporting me that we are in this position, but I'd really like to go and get the job done now.
And John, final round of the ERC coming up in Poland, and again on tarmac. So a good solid result now behind you getting into that.
Yeah, it's not been an easy couple of rallies leading into Ceredigion, but I found a setup the last day in Barham that felt more natural, and the speed was getting better. And then we just carried that into Ceredigion, and the speed was really good there. And I think without our issues, we would have got probably second place to Hayden. So that would have been a fantastic result, and it gives us now something to work on in terms of where we're at with the pace in the car, and just trying to focus now on doing a really good job for the prep on Poland. It should be quite it's probably slippery rally. I need to do a bit more research now on the stages, but I think it should suit us really well, and I think we have to go there and try and get a podium, to be honest, just to really strengthen our position, show our potential that we've been building now. And yeah, we need to get a strong result now to finish out the year, and that's important for M Sport with the Fiesta, which we know is capable of putting in the times. And it was really good in Ceredigion to see so many Fiestas putting in competitive pace in the European Championship, and obviously the majority of those were coming from the British Rally Championship and the Irish Cruise. So yeah, we know it's a strong package, and we got to now put that all together, and we know we can do the pace, so it's now attacking and doing a clean rally, and yeah, I think it'll be a nice rally to finish out the year.
Matt, we're just finished with Rali Ceredigion at the weekend, and we had built it up, and then sometimes if you build it up too high, sometimes it disappoints. But Ceredigion delivered in spades this year.
It did, and I think it was probably a voyage into the unknown, really. I suppose you've got to remember that the rally had only run 3 times before. And to launch itself into a European Rally Championship round on year 4 was, I guess, a brave move, to be honest. So I think people had a right maybe to be a little bit sceptical of it, had a right to maybe just be a bit tentative. But what the guys and girls did in the motor clubs that organised the rally, the volunteers and everybody that was behind that, is just pulled one hell of a rally out of the bag. In terms of everything, it wasn't just, the stages of class. The stages were probably the highlight, let's say. Mm-hmm. But it was everything else that went with it as well. There was so much thought and preparation that had gone into it. Everything from the service park to community engagement events to, the ceremonial starts and finishes and everything. So, yeah, to string an event along like that with a bunch of volunteers that will go back to painting houses, that will go back to filling in forms on a Monday. I know rallying's like that in terms of all rallies are like that, but to do that on an international scale of that size, it was damn impressive.
Yeah, because really. You think of a football match or something that's confined in like a stadium. Like a rally takes over how many square miles? It's probably scary if you start to calculate it, and to have people in every corner and every junction, to have them at stop controls, getting into service, coming out of service. Having all that manpower, it must be mind-blowing how to pull it all together.
Yeah, absolutely. And to live up to the hype and expectation of a European Rally Championship round, there is, I don't mean it like this, but when an international circus comes to town, then everybody has to step up. All the game has to change, and everybody has to adjust what they do. You have to get used to all sorts of different dynamics. You have to, the rally to a degree is governed by the TV and how the schedules work and everything like that. But just everybody was on the A game, and I think, from the footage that I've seen and from the stuff that I've seen on rally.tv and across social media, I mean, it just looked absolutely insanely good. Such a good rally. Yeah,
and what do you have to say about Wales? Like, did that not just sell it to the world? It just makes you want to, jump on a plane or a boat or whatever and get there, because it just looks spectacular.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why the counties got involved. There was 3 counties this year, I think, Ceredigion, Powys, and I forget the other one. But there was 3 counties involved, and that was a big feature of theirs, is sort of showcasing Wales as a tourism destination and being a hotspot, and it really did that. The helicopter shots were just second to none. It sold the region really, really well. And Wales, of course, is romantically linked to international rallying for decades, isn't it? Let's be honest. So, when you say when the Europeans go and say, "Oh, we're going to Wales for a rally," everybody's like, "Is Rally GB back?" And it's like, well, calm down a bit. But we're going to go and do the next best thing. And for me, Ceredigion was certainly that.
Yeah, because you're driving past the stages.
Yeah, well, Breckfast, we're driving through the middle of Breckfast Forest, and if you put your anorak hat on, Colin McRae was probably driving through Breckfast in '96 or whatever it was, but he was using the forest, and we were using the tarmac to go up through the middle. So it's just it has so much connection, and I think it inspired an awful lot of people, and hopefully just gave the sport a boost, because that's essentially what we need. The UK we're doing quite well at the minute, don't get me wrong, but it just needs that coming together of everybody to say, actually, you know what, the sport's in a pretty good place right now. We've just got to make the most of it.
Because we've seen the ceremonial start and the finish as well, and the end of each day, the Aberystwyth, the way it embraced the rally, the crowds that turned up, that was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And just when you look at, if you go back to Aberystwyth now, today, you think, God, what would it take to put on a street stage in somewhere like this? This would be a nightmare. This would be but do you know what? It was perfect. It offers its own natural amphitheatre because the spectators can be up away on the bank, and the sort of stage runs below them, and it just lends itself perfectly to that. And it looked good on TV as well, didn't it? Around the harbour and. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And there's a photo Tom Banks took it, and it's just for after you just see her hand coming out the car, and she's just high-fiving a wee girl standing along the side, and I just think there's somebody that's going to be inspired. That's just the next generation.
And that's it. It's all about taking rallying to the people. I will be the first person to say that we really have, in the last 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, really missed a trick with British rallying. There was this back in the early days of, certainly in the BRC, it was a requirement to do the big ceremonial starts, the big ceremonial finishes. And then as we went on, that sort of disappeared, and everybody sort of hid themselves away in a cattle market or an industrial estate or something like that. And that's just not the way to go. We need to be doing stuff like the ceremonial starts and finishes, the engagement events, the autograph sessions, all that kind of stuff. Because in a minute, in 10, 15, 20 years' time, we're going to be really old, Kev. I'm sorry to say, we're going to be really old, and there'll be nobody coming up behind us to keep the sport going. So it's stuff like it is you can't underestimate the value of stuff like that, for sure.
And for all the razzmatazz that was surrounding the event, as you said earlier, the stages were the cherry on top. They were world class.
Absolutely world class. I mean, everybody was talking about how difficult they were. So tough. And it offered, do you know what? It offered pretty much everything there. The Sunday stages were such a contrast to the moorland type Limbriani stages, the Nanty Moss stages of Saturday. When you went into Sunday, there was a few B roads, there was Arnco along the side, climbing up through a mountain. And it was a real contrast. So by the time everybody started to get used to the stages and figure out how to tackle them, they just threw them off into a different dynamic and put them in a completely different set of stages on Sunday altogether. And that just added to the challenge. And I think maybe if you look at the leaderboard and you see how far Hayden Paddon was ahead of everybody else, it doesn't really give it justice enough, because I think if you look at everybody else, for some reason, Hayden really clicks with that rally. He won it before, of course, but if you look at everybody else, it was really tight right across the board from 2 down to 10. And I think at one point there was something like 10 seconds separating 3rd to 10th or something at one point on Saturday. So it just offered everything. It really did. And you only have to see the amount of incidents, I guess, that we had to see just how challenging they were.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes, we kind of think, the guys doing the European Championship aren't, they're not at the top level, But these guys really are. Like the European Championship has come on so much over the last 5-6 years as well. These guys, they're professional drivers too. They're not going back and pinting on Monday morning or whatever. They'll be jumping in the car or somewhere testing. Yeah,
absolutely. And Jon Armstrong, Will Creighton, they all say the same thing, that doing events with higher competition does nothing but bring them on. Yeah. That's all it does. Yeah. It makes them find another way to go faster, because they realise instantly that there is a way to go faster, and they just need to find out how to do that. And then when you look at the likes of, a 3-time British Rally champion, Matt Edwards is one of the fastest guys in Ireland right now. Callum Devine, one of the fastest guys in Ireland. Keith Cronin, one of the fastest guys in Ireland. You've got Chris Ingram, super quick in the UK. And look where they were. They were fighting for seconds, thirds, and things like that. Okay, they set some good times across the way, but for each of those drivers, they'll come away from that, despite the results, and go, Well, there is room. There is space for me to go faster because Hayden did this, Franceschi did this, Mabellini did this, and it's just it's what they need as drivers to bring them on and develop them for sure, 100%.
And to hear the way they talked about cuts, like at the start of this year, we were saying after Galway, oh God, the cuts they're taking this year, this is unbelievable. And then to hear Keith Crone, Callum Devine, these guys saying, unbelievable the cuts these guys have taken. They just couldn't get their head around it. As you say, there is always that level there's always another level. Maybe that's where I'm going to.
Yeah, I think he said that. He said, I just don't know how they know.
Yeah.
He has no idea how they know that it is possible to get all four wheels off the grass at that point and it would be okay. Yeah. And he just couldn't figure it out. He really couldn't. And yeah, okay, it was a bit of a challenge for the guys that were, 10 cars down the road. But look, it's the same international rallying across the world. You go to the Canaries or you go to Spain, and it's all about the gravel that's being pulled out, and it's part of the dynamic of each individual event. I'm probably glad it just wasn't raining sort of Thursday, Friday, because I think if it was, I think it would have been a bit of a mud bath. But nevertheless, it was. Yeah, it's an experience for everybody, that's for sure.
That's for sure. And you did touch on it there. The way your guys measured up, the ITRC guys that was over doing the event, the BRC guys, they've nothing to be ashamed of. We put our best foot forward. The times over the weekend, all by our Hayden Paddon, each and every one of them was in the race there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a true testament, I think, to the pace that's in Ireland and the UK at the moment. I think we've always been quite proud of our drivers, and I think you could quite easily put most of them into a European Rally Championship situation, and they do well. But I possibly didn't see them doing that well that weekend. I was very, very impressed with each and every one of them. The fastest stage times that were coming from the likes of Chris Ingram, I think Matt Edwards set one. Even Callum Black, I think, set one as well. So it's just it is really, really impressive. I'd like to see what happens next year. I'd like to see a slightly bigger ERC entry come over. I'm hoping that everything that the rally's done right will showcase that and draw a few more over. And the same can be said for the junior pace as well. You look at the junior pace, it was just insane, absolutely insane from the Europeans. And I know it certainly helped the Stellantis Cup and the junior BRC crews as well. So it's certainly done our guys from both sides of the water no harm whatsoever.
Yeah, because sometimes you can get too comfortable, you think, oh, I've reached my limit, but to see somebody else come along and show, actually, the limit's up here, pushes you on to trying to, the time's there. Yeah, you've got to keep pushing, and at this level, it's not necessarily finding, a large chunk of time, like I need to find 10 seconds a stage. What these guys are trying to ascertain, is where that 10th is per corner. So if they can get that 10th per corner and extrapolate that across every single corner on that stage, then that's their time. It's not just saying I want a blanket 10 seconds or whatever it is. It's just getting the little bits together. And then as it showed, there'll be one or two stages which suit one of the drivers, James Williams, first thing on Saturday morning. Absolutely obliterated everybody, and it just suited him. The stage suited him. He knew what he had to do, and he just went out there and did it. But as you say, at this level, the margins are like that, really like that. Yeah, and the way the BRC was structured, they run it as two events. The Friday into Saturday was one day, and then the Sunday. You looked at it on paper, you thought 4 stages on Sunday, oh my God, But what a challenge that threw up as well too.
I'll be honest, I think it gave our championship manager a bit of a heart attack. So it looked good on paper, I think. I think the idea was certainly valid. But it was a challenge to promote it, and it was a challenge to, work out the connotations of what was happening. And it was difficult, but there were people there playing the long game, and there were people there that were going for points. And yeah, it was very, very interesting. We went into Sunday with Chris Ingram being 4 stages away from being a BRC champion, and 1 stage later, that wasn't going to happen. So or actually, let me put it this way: a few kilometres later, that wasn't going to happen. So it was Keith's to be had, and then 3 minutes later from that, it wasn't even Keith's, because it just all unfolded on that 1 stage. I mean, you definitely couldn't have wrote it, for sure. You definitely couldn't have wrote it. And then here we are, 1 round left, and there's 1 point between the top 2.
Yeah, because if you'd been looking at it on paper on Saturday evening, if that had been a one scoring opportunity, Wool and Liam, their rally was done. They had their troubles on Saturday, and they would almost write off, but they were able to hit the reset button Sunday morning, go out again, and then they come away with maximum points.
Yeah, it was always going to play into somebody's hands. It would have been somebody from Saturday or somebody from Sunday that it would have worked better for. But that was just the way that the dice fell. It just played into Will's hands, and obviously John and the M Sport team did probably, I think, what any team would have done, perhaps, I don't know, to give with the win, and that just takes that fight. But look, we're 1.5 points at the Cambrian, so we're back onto the gravel. Which I think is a great leveler in the BRC, or it seems to be this year, a really great leveler. It's a really close competition on the gravel. So we've got 1.5 points at the Cambrian, which opens it right up. And I think now we've got 1 of 4 drivers can win, still heading into the last round. And that is just magical. I remember, I think it was 22 when we had Matt Edwards and Ocean Price, head to head in the Ulster Rally, and it literally went down to the last stage, or penultimate stage, when Osh went off, and that was just fabulous to try and tell the story of that. And here we are with a similar scenario, but 4 drivers: Keith Cronin, Will Creighton, Chris Ingram, and Ocean Price can technically, I think, still win. So yeah, that excites me a lot.
Yeah, you'll have a bit of head scratching to do at the end of the last stage. All been well.
I'm fully relying on a really good WhatsApp signal and a championship manager that's got a very, very clever spreadsheet going on that tells me all of the commutations that are available, because that's kind of what it needs, because we have drop scores as well to take into account. So yeah.
But like, from the BRC point of view, it has to be a positive year all in all. Like, the way that the championship has been reignited, we talked earlier in the year, the new TV coverage, the new sort of invigoration behind the whole championship. It has really come good.
Yeah, it was tough last year. You and I have talked for quite a few years on the BRC, and there's nobody more passionate about it than me. But it was no secret that it was tough last year. The entry numbers weren't quite there. I think it was amazing to have Adrian Formeau over. It was, I wouldn't have changed that for the world, but it also just meant that people felt that like they weren't perhaps at the races, so maybe didn't want to push themselves to try. And then you fast forward a few months, it's a title sponsor on board. You've got a really good TV package. There was a lot of noises made about sort of people coming on board. And all of a sudden it really gathered pace just after Autosport. And we were sort of counting down the numbers thinking, okay, this sounds really good. And then all of a sudden the names started popping into these seats that were being allocated. And we're like, this is really, really good. I mean, it's an honour. It is an honour. And we don't take it for granted. That's one thing the BRC doesn't do. We don't take it for granted. It's an honour to have the likes of Matt Edwards elect to sign up for one round last weekend, for the likes of Jon Armstrong, for a European rally champion to come in of Chris Ingram's ilk and come in and do the BRC. It is an honour. And of course, a junior world champion as well. We've got some big heavy hitters in the BRC this year. And it's made it a really, really nice place to be.
Yeah, and the fact that they've committed to the championship, they haven't after 2 or 3 rounds suddenly, they're, we're not there, we've had a drop score, we're not going to continue. They're seeing it through.
Yeah, absolutely, and the fight has been there from everybody really, and that's a testament to, I think, how close it's been. There hasn't been what I would call like a drop off the cliff of pace either, or results or anything like that, and it just seems the way that the championship's structured this year. The point system has made it really work for quite a number of people across all of the classes. Okay, there's BRC3 is a little bit light, BRC4 is, but that's just the nature of the beast. Certainly in Rally 2 terms, it just seems to have worked and got everything together, and it's been really, really good. It has been really, really good, and I can't believe we're just a few weeks away from it ending. It feels like it's gone just like that, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's only a few weeks since we were talking about the start of the championship, and suddenly now we're talking about the track rod now, as you say, in a few weeks.
Yeah, I know. Well, we don't have track rod. We're going to Canberra. So track rod was last year.
Yes, sorry, yes.
We're going back to North Wales this year for Cambrian, and that looks like it's going to be a big challenge. That's going to be, I think the clerk was saying that there's a couple of 16-mile stages in there. One of which the BRC will be doing on its own twice. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. Same with the juniors. The junior title's up for grabs still. I think the national title is up for grabs, and the open title. So we're going to crown a fair number of people on Llandudno seafront, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, sharpen that pencil, and we look forward to hearing all the results as they come in.
Yeah, thanks. Don't put too much pressure on me. Maybe give me 5 minutes to work it out.
So thanks very much, and especially Hayden Paddon, wasn't long off of playing all the way from, was it Manchester back to New Zealand? It was
yeah, he hadn't been to bed yet at all. So he left when he got left Manchester on Sunday evening, and I spoke to him on Tuesday morning. So yeah.
So really appreciate that, and Jon and Wall had such a busy schedule, and Matt, he had been at the Ceredigion for the previous week and all too, so between sleep deprivation and God only knows what else too, so really appreciate all those guys taking the time. Also last weekend then, closer to home, the latest instalment of the Creighton and Matt National Championship, Galway Summer, and this titles fight is going to go down to the wire. It's I think they're going to be standing at the end of the last stage, seeing who's going to set the fastest time to decide where this title is going to go, because it really is that close.
Now, is this the Moffat title fight or the championship title fight?
Well, Sam and Joyce is going to be taking lumps out of each other, and then the Eddie Dougherty is not going to let it go easy. Daniel Cronin's still there, and he's still mathematically, I think, can still win the title. And then James Ford showed great speed there at the weekend. He's not in the title fight, but he could he could decide where the title goes too if he puts the cat amongst the pigeons. And Donegal, there always a wild card or two there as well.
Absolutely, yeah. No, look, it's going to be interesting, and again, also be interesting to see what Josh is out in. So he had the old Hyundai i20 for Galway, but we don't know what he's going to appear in Donegal.
Yeah, it could be the Citroen, or it could be back in the Hyundai again. But yeah, it is going to be mad there, just to see how all that fares out. And then, in the two-wheel drive in Galway as well, Daniel McKenna and Andrew Grennan took the one. Great to see, the two guys. We'll hear from them in a few minutes. They just seem to have the love of rallying back again. They're just loving just what they're doing, and it's just a delight to chat to the two boys.
Oh, look, yeah, it is. It's great. We all missed Daniel when he took the break from competition, and it was great to see him come back. But it's been great to see him come back and get back to where he was.
That's for sure. And the great thing with Daniel is, no matter what you asked him, he'll answer it, and he'll answer it honestly. There's no hidden agenda. There's no kind of I can't answer that or anything. He will answer whatever you asked him and give you a real honest insight as well. And Andrew exactly the same. Everything that the answer is coming from the heart, really is, and that to us that's just a pleasure to hear that.
That's it, and those are the stories we want everybody to be able to hear, and for people to get to listen to what's going on behind the scenes and what's in people's heads and what they're thinking and what their views are on how they how the competition's going for them.
Yeah, so let's hear from Daniel and Andrew. So Daniel, Andrew, winners of the Galway Summer two-wheel drive. Daniel, you made it look very easy on Sunday, but it probably wasn't as easy from your point of view.
No, definitely not. driving 2.5 modified cars probably isn't simple at all. Like probably a lot of people attest to that. But no, as we were just talking beforehand, we hadn't been out for, I don't know, whatever, 3.5 months or whatever. And usually we'll try and get a bit of a shakedown or a test or something done. We didn't just have the time to do that. So we were quite nervous going to that first stage. And also it was a very tricky first stage too. So there's no room for error first few kilometers. But I don't know. I don't think we made it look easy anyways. It can be hard work at times, and it was warm and it was hot and it was hard on cars. Tough event, like, but very enjoyable all the same.
Yeah, because Andrew, going by the reaction to the crews, they were all very busy stages, but especially that first stage, it was one not for the faint-hearted. That first stage.
Yeah, it was very, very technical from the start. Very narrow. The first lane or road, you might say, was very, very narrow and very technical. Sort of high banks and gravel on the outside and grass in the middle of the road. So, like, I even felt that we were going a bit too slow, but Daniel was just trying to pick his way through the track, the line, until we got out. Then when we got out onto there's just a bit of a wide road section in the middle of it, when you sort of breathe a sigh of relief and got going, then, or what felt like got going, so we come off the end of the stage. We both thought that we hadn't really had a good stage for us, but turned out it was okay, you know what I mean, and it was good. It was a good start to work from.
That's the secret, Kevin. I never go fast enough for this man. You see, that's the thing.
you get very worried if he thinks you're going too fast.
Yeah, the odd time you might get the out elbow into the side of the shoulder if things are getting a wee bit hairy, but no, that's the thing. Like, it was, we didn't really have any moment on stage 4 in that gravelly section. Like, even Kevin Eves got caught out early on the stage. It was so easy. Like, it was a corner after that, just a bit of gravel. Like, there was no speed. You're going probably less than 20 miles an hour, but the car gets up in the marbles, and you've not much you can do. It's just luck after that. Mm-hmm. So we sort of nearly got caught out similar to what Kevin did on the second run over the stage, even though it had well cleaned up. But there was a better line, but it meant there was more gravel if you went offline. I just got the car slightly offline, but I wouldn't. I don't think it looked easy, and it didn't feel easy. But anyway, so we got the job. We got the job done.
Right, and you were saying, you're nervous heading out to that first stage. Whenever you come off the first stage and you discover you set a really good time, does that settle the nerves, or does it nearly make it that that was good, but we still have all these other stages to do yet?
Do you want to take that one, Andrew?
It's always good to get off the end of the first stage and have a solid time, fast time, but it's sort of a double-edged sword, that you're in the heat of the battle, and now you have to keep the hammer on, you know what I mean, and build on that. Whereas I suppose if you weren't on the pace after the first stage or whatever, I suppose it gets away from you very quick, so it does settle the nerves, yeah, it does. Mm-hmm. You always, I find it's always have performance nerves or anxiety at the start, because you want to be competitive, you want to be in the mix or ahead of the mix. So, the first stage, I think, of every rally is very tense, but also probably the most important stage of the whole rally, because that's you set your stall out, and you can, you can deal a blow to your competitors by being. We have always tried to be as quick as out of the blocks as we could, and we do a good recce and write good notes, you know what I mean, and sort of it's if you start off fast at the start, you know what I mean, it's a good place to work from.
Mm-hmm. Because Daniel, do you rather be chased than be the chaser? Then I suppose maybe that would be the way of putting
it. Don't really know. Suppose over the last since I come back now after the layoff, I'll probably be doing a lot more chasing than being chased. To be honest with you, it's not easy either way. Like, generally we just do our own thing anyways, Kevin. We just try our best. Like, but yeah, it's frustrating. Like when you can do better sometimes, and it's just not coming so easily. It can be frustrating more than anything to know that the car's capable and you're capable, and even sometimes if I get silence from Andrew, then I know like I know that things haven't probably been up to the scratch that we can do, like. But yeah, as Andrew says, the first stage is critical. Like, even touching on Kevin's incident, like, the couple of cars behind him, the guys who were in the battle, like, David Moffat and Michael and some of the guys, they were stopped on the stage, and that just upsets your rhythm straight away. So, like, straight away we sort of got a bit of a jump start. Like, that wouldn't have helped their case. And I know I've experienced too, where I got stopped on the first stage in a rally, and then some of the other guys up, a couple of cars ahead of you got a good clean stage, and then you feel like you're catching up. Like, you're knocked off your rhythm. You didn't get that first stage under your belt, and then they have that slight advantage, and then you're sort of catching up from there on in. And I heard David and Michael sort of referring to that when they were having a bit of crack on the stages. It's once you get a clean run and everything goes well, it sets you up for the day. Like, stage one is so important. Like,
I especially suppose with those national rounds, that the fact that you're doing 3 stages and you're repeating them, like, you've already got a high speed run over the first stage, where they probably didn't get that run as well then too.
Yeah, and I suppose we had a similar thing on the third stage where, unfortunately, Jim Stafford had a bit of bother, and yeah, we didn't know if we were doing the right thing or not. But anyways, we stopped. We were getting yellow flagged at the time, and you could see the smoke. So it turned out there was he had a fire that was put out, but it subsequently reignited about a minute later because Conor Murphy went past and everyone was grand, okay, and we were getting the okay as well. But what James didn't realise was that when we were approaching him, was up a straight, we could see the car, underneath the engine, because the engine was in the back, was back on fire again. Like, I seen the marshal coming with the fire extinguisher, but anyways, long story short, everything was fine. But we stopped the stage and hit the fire, and a couple of cars behind us, and so you could turn Mickey and Dave and them guys got a clean run on that stage, if you know what I mean. Yes. I think they did anyways. But then, like, for the 2/3 of the rest of that stage, on their second pass over, that was their first time at it in anger, and that's maybe where the guys had a little bit of an advantage on us. But I could be wrong what I'm saying. They might have been stopped on the stage as well, and they were just quicker than us anyways. But but anyways, yeah. So, but it was a tough event, a really, really tricky event. But I must say, it was very enjoyable. I know Calvin last year as well. After the wreck, I was saying, like, the first and second stage really technical, the grass in the middle known forever. And we had a good run in Calvin last year. Kevin pipped us to the post last year in Calvin, but we had a real good run on it, like, and felt so. Them tricky stages, like, I don't know why, but it sort of suits us, like, whereas you probably heard Kevin in some of the interviews, and I've chatting to Kevin Gallagher. This is that, the Darien, that's just that bit wider, just wasn't. First and second stage weren't really suited to Darien, but the third one was. But yeah, it's just he was fighting very difficult to get into the rhythm. He was up on the marbles I was talking about, and he was probably fighting the car for a lot of that narrow stuff, whereas we probably were just had that advantage. Like, so, tricky event, but like, a fair play to Gary Leonard and his team. I never seen an event run as well, like clockwork. Andrew, do you agree? Like, it was just no delays. Like, there's times we were caught out getting ready at the start of the stage. It was unreal. Like, it's brilliant like that, because, like, you're actually able to keep it at temperature and tires and stuff. I'd say all the rest of the competitors would stay the same. Like,
yeah, because Andrew, that does make a huge difference, doesn't it? Like, whenever everyone is warm going into the stage, you're not having to warm up the tires again. You're not having that doubt in the back of your head going down to the first corner or whatever, that everyone's up to temperature.
It's whenever the events run time, well and run well like that, it's much easier to be in the zone for the 3 stages in the loop, and Monaghan would have been run very well. I'd say, Motorsport Ireland or the powers that be are expecting more of the event organisers to have the events run on a tighter schedule and finish up earlier, and they did a fantastic job. top class job. Like there was a friend of ours, Derek Dean, was doing the event, and that was his first time driving a 2.5, and he was seated well back, like, but he got every stage. He got a clean stage every single stage. So when the people further down the field are getting every stage in the rally, like, that's a real good sign to for the organisers. You know what I mean? That working well, but they'll be very seasoned professionals at what they're doing down there in the Galway Motor Club. Like, I mean, we've done the Galway International a number of occasions, and we've done the Galway Summer Rally a couple of times before, and they've always been able to run a really good rally. It's credit to them, like, and not also obviously, marshals and everything. There's good people around them to make that happen. Like, you know what I mean? Everything was bang on. There was no delays. Even, there was no delays at the start of the stage where sweepers or had went in and seen problems and everything seemed to just work like clockwork. And same maybe then more technical, tighter stages too, and a little bit backward. It's harder for spectators and that and Joe blogs to be in Stalin and foolish places and things, you know what I mean? So although some people, disagree with clubs picking more and more technical and tricky and stages, it probably is a better format, like I would say.
Mm-hmm. Because as spectators go into a junction, they can be held better in restricted areas rather than wandering down through open land. Yeah,
definitely. You can see, likens between events now being more and more like that. You know what I mean? A tighter, the stages are a lot closer, not a lot of road mileage, more compact, and the stages wouldn't be as quick, like, you know what I mean? Because they're trying to keep the average speed down as well, So, and the beauty is that when you're using them technical stages, there's not chicanes in every road section. Them other faster stages, every section of the road you go in, they're having to put in chicanes to slow it down, like, you know what I mean? Which is understandable. It's all for the good of the sport, like, you know what I mean? So, but then when you're running the technical stages, you have running the risk of getting blockages and that. But I'd say between the trackers and crews been more switched on that, like, everything seems to be working pretty good at the moment, like, which is good to see for them national rallies, like.
Yeah, because suppose, Daniel, too, you don't want to be in the fast, big wide open roads. You just want the challenge. You just want them technical stages. You're there for your day's fun, and you want a challenge as well.
Yeah, well, I enjoy both. Like, it's nothing really a dislike. You think of the like Smalls Gap, the big wide open fast stage, or all of that. Like, they're brilliant stages as well. But I equally like the little narrow technical stages, and so I like it all. Like, you're always going to have your classic stages, but sometimes just the territory of some of the counties that you're in, some of the stages you hear the phrase like motorways, where it's just then you have stages littered with chicanes and stuff, and it's like chicanes is probably a debatable point for a lot of guys, especially the R5 guys are paying for like whatever it is, €1,000 wing mirrors and carbon fiber wings and whatever, and they're slightly wider and clubber and bales and stuff. The chicanes can be very unforgiving. If you miss your braking point by a foot, you could have a couple of grand's worth of damage done, or out of the rally even, or a simple thing of just nipping or busting a radiator or whatever. But also there's a bit of an act to them as well. Like, if you've got a good technique to the chicanes, there's guys who can take it to their advantage as well. But I know there was a lot of debate there. I was listening to your podcast about the virtual chicane they put in Finland, and I think they're trying it in different places.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking to Frank Burns, Frank Burns, he does the hill climbs there, does a bit of navigating.
Yes.
And they trialed their virtual chicane up in one of the hill climbs and that, and he said you could see the advantages of it. Like, obviously there's very little chance of damage in that, but yeah, it's probably going to, if that does come in, it's probably going to take a long time to get our head around it. But that's the only thing I would say about them faster stages. Once, with the speed that's been carried in corners and braking and the commitment and effort put in by everybody, once you go to the fast road, then you automatically have chicanes every couple 100 meters or whatever, which probably for a lot of people, it isn't really that appealing, you know.
No.
So
Yeah, and I
yeah.
suppose with the development of tyres, suspension, and all that, there is just so much more grip, and there's so much, you're getting the power down so much more now that, you know, those faster stages are just getting faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, that's it. Sure, look, even in the forestry that Andrew, you were down in Cork there with Vivian, and sure, you know, bogey times are nearly a problem, and you see it in some rallies, like where it's still so hard to get your head around how quick the guys, and like you see yourself, you seen the top Irish guys going over there to the top European guys, like, and we're mixing it
Yeah.
like we're at a world class level in this country across the board. No matter if you're in your top or fives or go down to class 9 in the modifieds or whatever the equivalent is, every man is putting a serious effort, like with notes, and the cars are top class, and there's no expense spared with tires and everything else. And it's maybe organizers can still get caught out, like with, even if the stage is just like, or they think they've enough done to bring the average speed down, and they're still getting caught with the performance levels, even in the forest,
Because like Andrew, like it's everywhere. Like as Daniel just said there, like it's every class, it's every event. Like national championship, tarmac championship, the forestry, every rally you go to now, like from car 1 right down through, everybody is just spending so much time on their notes, or spending so much extra time in the prep, all trying to get that extra tenth.
Yeah, well, I think, I suppose one way it's a good thing, one way it's not. But the majority of people that are out rallying now take it very seriously. It's not going out for the crack anymore, I don't think, and everybody's putting an awful lot of effort into the car and an awful lot of effort into the notes and the event and preparing for it. And it's great to see that competitiveness in people across the whole field of the rally, you know what I mean? And it's great for Irish motorsport. Like, it's a great spectacle. Like, look at the likes of the rally at the weekend. Like, I'm sure you could have anybody from anywhere in the world who come and say it's probably as good an event as you could see throughout the world. Like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, but like, the talent in this country is phenomenal. Like, it's really, really good. Like, and sort of in our blood. Like, you know what I mean? For a lot of people. So, yeah, it's good to see that everybody's at such a competitive level, you know what I mean? Obviously, it has its risk then increases because everybody's trying harder, but that's just the game we're in. It's just the game we're in. If you're not, if you're foolish enough to think that there's no risk, well, you shouldn't really be at it, you know what I mean? So, yeah, but it's good that everyone's going pretty smooth in the rally in front in Ireland at the minute, and like, you know what I mean, for all the organisers, because that's a thankless job. Then people are doing too, like.
That's the thing, like you only ever notice the organisers or the marshals or something like that if things is not working out right. But if everything's running along really smoothly and everything's going according to plan, nobody even appreciates or notices really half time that they're there.
No, well, that's it, like, you know what I mean. But people should appreciate it, like, but especially the pace of life now, is much harder and heavier, I think, in every household now than ever is. And then people that's dedicating their time to organising these events and running them and everything for us. It's for us who they're doing it for, yeah, people, should take note of them, of what they do, like, you know what I mean? And especially when they're running top class events. There's just one thing I wanted to show you here that we got given at the end of the rally, and I've never seen it before, the rally in this country, but I thought it was lovely. It was like just a little medal, just to say well done for the motor club, and I thought it was a lovely thing. Like, even things like that they don't have to, and running the event out of the plant hire place, you know what I mean? You weren't in a hotel and that, and I think it sort of sets a different atmosphere, you know what I mean? And I was lucky enough that it was dry, that we could all stand outside, you know what I mean? But it was a really good run rally, and the atmosphere was nice around the place. It was a bit more relaxed or something, than some events that have been to over the last while, you know what I mean? So yeah, it was a great rally, and great.
Even one thing that Gary and him done to give you the option of you had 2 drivers' briefings. So you had one at 8 o'clock on the Saturday night or one at 7:30 on the Sunday morning. So like I would say most of the people who travelled down to the event done it on the Saturday night so they could have a lie in. And then the local guys, maybe anyone from Galway or the surrounding areas, then they got to go home after scrutiny. They didn't have to hang around for a couple of hours waiting, and they just come in, the half hour earlier. Like so even something simple like that was brilliant. Like to have that option, like simple things is what makes the difference, and the competitors feel good factor.
And I even noticed like the finish too. I seen the photos of the top 3 were on the scissor lifts, and that was great publicity even then for the sponsor as well too.
Exactly.
Wee things like that there, just it just puts a different message out there as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely, but I suppose we're talking about a wide spectrum of things here. But the thing that comes into my head there now was like when all was said and done, with 6 stages done and the battle was hard, and Andrew says like come in the road section. So Mickey was after having a real good time on stage 6. We only had 12 seconds, and then remember Killian and Eamon come over just to do a quick interview at us in service, and as Killian says, all it is the half spin, and I was like, no, it's nothing. Like you have to just be full of the pipe, fully concentrated. Like you couldn't relax, you cannot relax. Like the competition now in every class and the modifieds especially, I was looking through the times there yesterday, and even when you think you're having a clink of a run, there's always some other man who's having a better run. It's very difficult to get a fast stage time, but it's putting that all together, in a day's rally, or if it's an international rally over a weekend, it's the pace is so hot, it's so difficult to do that,
Because it's not even just 1 or 2 guys you're competing against. Like there on Sunday, there was 5 or 6 guys setting top 3 times, and you just never knew when the next flying time was going to come in from. If it wasn't yourself, it was Kevin Gallagher, or it was Young Moffat, or it was Conor Murphy. It just they kept coming and coming, didn't they?
Yeah. There was 5 or 6 there at least in the mix. And if you're going through all the classes, it's the same thing. One thing that has stood out, the drive of the day for the border championship, was won by I can't remember the name of the guy now. He won the class, but was it who won the class? James Cassidy won the class 12, didn't he, Andrew? But it was Young McCardle. Yeah, Young McCardle from Armagh. It just goes to show you, these guys are picking water fast on that stage, and yet James and Jane were picking up for the class win, and it's the same across every class. It's unreal, it's unreal.
And what you call Ben McIntyre in class 13,
Aaron's the class 13 lad, isn't he? And Ben's the class 11.
Yes, and
the
guy were.
If he goes 2.5, I think we're being bothered. He's not going to be easy to handle, I would say now.
No.
I'm hearing rumours that he could be going for an upgrade over the winter. I think Aaron could put manners on a couple of us now, so he's very, very handy driver now.
But it's fantastic that there is a conveyor belt there, that it's not just the same faces at every event or whatever, that everywhere you go there's new challenges.
Yeah, I would say you go to any entry list there now, if you look back, there's probably 4 or 5 top modified buys in every rally. There's the competition's unbelievable, be it international or national, or even the one-off events like the Leash Heartlands or whatever, or even look at Wexford next weekend. Look at or in 2 weeks, whenever it is, at the end of the day, have for a sort of one-off event. There's some competition there, and then that's another thing. I must commend Mickey Carbon, because Mickey, I never see he had more patience than I have. I can tell you that much. To start off, and I think he had a bit of a mishap in Mayo. Mayo was a treacherous rally most of the time, anyways, but to build it up, to show the patience and the maturity to build it up, rally after rally after rally, and learn the car and learn the new driving style, and now just to be punching in times all the time, he's going to be a top. He already is a top modified contender, but to do it the way he done it, a lot of boys get ahead of themselves and have fallen victim to that trap myself back in the day and at Big Rex. But I don't know what you think, Andrew, but Mickey's definitely shown a lot of maturity and a lot of speed there, the way he's handled himself this year and built it up, similar to what Richard Moffat done last year. I found Richard just done his own thing, and the next thing just started cleaning us. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it's seat time. Like you're not going anywhere when you're on the hedge, you know, and it's all about seat time and stage time, and it'll come like you know, if it's in you at all, it'll come like. And I just say that to Vivian sometimes, like you know what I mean. Sometimes you have to take your beatings and just to get more experience and to get more seat time, so you can go to the next event and be quicker again. You know what I mean? So yeah, Michael has done a really good job of that. Like you know what I mean. But Michael has a lot of experience too. He's rallying a long time. He's rallying as long as we are, I'd say. You know, in different cars. You know what I mean. But he's a really, really good driver. Like you know, it's nice to see another man in the mix now. Like David Baffert was going extremely well as well. Like you know.
what about Morris?
Morris, great to see Morris out
Yes.
there.
Jesus Christ, that's brilliant.
And every time you seen him at a stage end, the smile was just from ear to ear. Like you know, isn't it amazing? Just like like how many years he's been about and still loving rallying as much as the first day he probably got behind the wheel of a car.
Yeah,
Be
oh, it's unreal.
a work competitor.
Yeah.
No, he put a smile on your face. He was over with us. Like Dad and Morris would go back an awful long way, and me and Dad were in the back of the truck picking tires stuff, and then Morris was up the steps in the back of the truck, and they're chatting away. And Jesus Christ, it was brilliant to see him. Like he loves it. He absolutely loves it. Like you know, for that man to go through what he went through there during COVID and to be doing what he's doing, it's just fair play to him. Like I hope to be able to do it as well when my time comes. You know.
Because you said like a 2.5 is not an easy car to step into. Like, and you know, it was a big ask, but he took it by the scruff of the neck, didn't he?
Yeah, and sure, I've seen like clips on Facebook and what have you, and photos like, and he's just same old Morris style, just full of the rack and entertaining the crowds. Like, well, like that's brilliant. Like, it's just I think it's unreal that he's out competing still and enjoying it like every moment, and that's what life's all about. Like, life's too short to be cooked up in the house and playing on. So that's why every couple of months we have no choice but to get out and do an event, because me and this man here I'd say we're just probably nobody could live with us. I'd say we just have to get that. I don't know how I stayed away from it for 6 years now, and I'm back at it. But there's times I wish I had stayed away from it. No, you have to get your fix, as I say.
Yeah, but like Andrew, like Daniel, you know, had been away for the 6 years. You kept your toe in it. Is it good to be back and back at the sharp end with Daniel? Because like you two grew up together. Like it was like you were just always there together for them early years.
It's great to be back racing with Daniel and be back at the sharp end of things. But I never doubted it. I knew the day had come. Obviously, we're more equipped now as well because have ourselves set up with families and homes and stuff, and we can give it a bit more effort than what we could have done by 7 and 8 years ago. You know what I mean? But thankfully, like between Vivian and Adrian Hetherington, like I kept my toe in and got doing some fantastic events. It was nice too, like to maybe be away racing with somebody else and out in the gravel with them lads and everything. You know what I mean? Yeah, but yeah, it's nice to be back beside Daniel and Ashford and back being competitive. It's a different kettle of fish now than it was back in 2008, 9 and 10, 11 when we were at the sharp end of things then. But there's definitely a bigger class of competitors to be racing again, and the pace, like you know what I mean. The cars have come on somewhat, but like back then, we could knock in maybe 2 or 3 good tight stages, like you know what I mean, and you'd have a bit of a gap built up then, and you wouldn't be under pressure. Now you need to be on the pipe from the get go on every single stage, like you know what I mean. And as I say, there's every rally you go to, there's 5, 6, 7 people that you have to keep an eye on. Like I have the phone out the minute I get to the end of the stage, rally score or rally results, and get the thing, and you're looking and you keep refreshing it because there's somebody else down there that you have to keep an eye. Somebody maybe seated behind you or whatever, like So, but yes, it's great to be back at it, and myself and Daniel, I suppose, we know each other's habits, you know what I mean? It sort of leaves it easy enough, like, you know what I mean? We don't have to be putting in as much effort as maybe we would have because we know each other's habits, and you know what I mean? And you'll tend sometimes on the recce's to get a bit excited with information, but I just don't bother writing it down. So it's like, all right, things like that, you know what I mean? Rather than
I've
arguing.
actually figured
Whereas
that out
back
myself
then,
over the years.
we would have been arguing like back then. Now there's no arguments, but I just don't write it down or don't pay any heed to them.
It's just to the point now where we just know, like, you know. I even there, like, we done Carlo, and it was bone. Was it bone dry? I don't know. I think it was dry. Yeah, bone dry. And I remember chatting to geez, I'm desperate for names. The lad in the yellow Oscar under Bork, you know, we had in Bork and we were in scrutiny, like, and he goes, "Oh, geez, that must be good stage tomorrow." He goes, "It'll be slippy." And he was looking at me like I had two heads. And I said, "I'm telling you," I says, "whatever it is about the roads down here," because we'd done it 10, 12 years ago and we experienced it. And here's me now, you'd swear I was like preaching to this man, and he's probably done more rallies than me. And but talking later on the day, he's like, "Holy jeez, I couldn't believe how unbelievably slippy it was. Like, your bone dry tarmac, it was just like an optical illusion, like, you know." And everyone was complaining about it, but you know, the experience comes through now. That's I think what Andrew's referring to. Like, you know, we don't get flustered as much now, and we just sort of do our own thing, and you know, the experience comes through. Like, so it makes it slightly easier, like on weekends. Like, even when we've got the car where we wanted, we've got the notes where we wanted, and that's why we were nervous. We didn't get doing a test or a shakedown or anything. Like, I suppose you sort of know it's there. It can't go way too far. So as long as we get the thing to sort of click together in some sort of middling rhythm, then we're not going to be too far away. But hey, it's not just me and Andrew. Like, Christ almighty, the amount of effort there. Like, Bobby Sharkey runs the car. Like, and many's a top modified car and other cars in the country, and a more meticulous man you couldn't meet in terms of prepping a car. It's faultless, like, you know. And then our own team of guys like my father and Finton, Andrew's uncle there, and Damien Hagan and Kieran Rush now as well. You know, them boys have to put in some effort to keep us right. You know, that's the thing. Like, and every team's the same. You know, it's just the level it's gone to. Like, everyone has a good group of friends and volunteers and that, and or else you're at the other end of the spectrum where it's nearly professional level. Like, but look, we try and keep the whole family vibe and the team vibe going, and we all enjoy it. Like, we out for a nice meal there on Saturday night, and a couple of pints and reminiscing and having the crack. And me and Andrew went to bed midland early, and the boys didn't go to bed too early. But we're all up and at it at Sunday morning, ready for action. Like, that's as much about that as it is the competition, if you know what I mean, for us now. Like, just
because like, it's probably you were getting to a stage with your rally, and before you stepped away, you probably weren't enjoying it as much as what why you got into the sport. You'd kind of maybe lost vision of why you were doing it to start off with. I feel you're getting that back again. You're getting back, and you're having the bit of fun again now as well.
Yeah, there was certainly a lot of that where we got to the level where it was business, like, you know. And unfortunately, we probably just weren't in the right place at the right time, and just the amount of pressure and the amount of personal sacrifice and everything you're putting into it just made you question the whole thing, and the fun went out of it. So that had a lot to do with it. There's no doubt about it. But no, definitely now, like, we've still put in a serious effort. Don't get me wrong. Really good loyal sponsors and really good loyal partners, like, that helped us out rebuilding the car, like Sarima Moore there, and Philip Case with the Olin stampers and that kind of stuff, and the Trimo gearbox and all that stuff. We wouldn't be back unless we had them guys backing us as well, you know. But yeah, we're definitely enjoying it. There's no doubt about it. Like, there's a couple of years there when we were getting the car sort of fine tuned, and you're getting as Andrew says, you had to take your baitings. Like, I caught myself out down in that Galway International Rally 2022 when we were battling Gary, probably trying to get ahead of myself, and got caught out. But you know, I think apart from maybe getting caught out in Knockalla and Donegal the same year and doing that, whatever you want to call it, 180 or 360 up the road. I don't think we have too many moments, Andrew, have we, really, since that?
No, it's steady enough, like, you know what I mean? No, like, as I say, that would have been a big setback when we had the accident down in Galway, you know what I mean? It sort of, the car was still, we're only sort of getting the car together, and then we had that accident, and it sort of knocked things back. And we were doing a couple of, we hadn't done an awful lot of other international events before, so we were trying to do a couple of international events, but it wasn't working out. Like, and it was, frustrating more than anything, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's there now at the stage where it's enjoyable and it's not too much pressure, and obviously it's enjoyable to be on the back to the sharp end of it, you know what I mean? Still need to get asked. There's a couple of bucks we need to get asked. So the job house. We're not mentioning any names, but
I dread to think of the carnage today, whatever rally it might be. So it'll happen at some point when everyone's there. When everyone's there, like,
Yeah.
But
we vowed not to do any internationals now for a couple of years because we've got young kids and stuff, and it's just too much time away. But the wee national, as you say, the national events are brilliant. Like, a lot of the time you can tip away on the Saturday morning. Even like for us now, a lot of them are close. Like, you could do Modern Cowden from the home house. Like, we do Donegal, Andrews and Mayo now, so like the likes of Mayo, Galway, stuff like that. You nearly have to go down into the south side of the country before you'd be, taking on a big commitment. But so we're probably missing a bit of the battle in there, like the likes of Donegal or Killarney and that. But look, hopefully we'll get back to them boys at some point. But
because the one day format suits both, for where you just want to be and for the family is and all at the minute. Like, and at the end of the day, it's for fun, isn't it? Really, and there's no point trying to make a big commitment to go away and do a Killarney or 3 days in Donegal, because that's it works into a week, 10 days off work and everything else.
Yeah, like there's one thing about the expense, and obviously the risk goes without saying, but it's the time. Like, Andrew's running his own business. I'm fairly busy at work as well, but you don't want to be impacting on your family time, like, especially when they're young. And hopefully later on in the years you can bring them to the events. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know what Andrew's thinking. Maybe we won't be rallying in a couple of years' time. God only knows. But yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how it happens. Like, see what way it works out. Like, I was speaking to Rodney Wilton and Gary Phillips there in recent times, and you see where they sort of had to take a step back from competing on the bigger events, and now their kids are going up a little and they're back at it. Like, and the likes of Rodney, Gary are back at the sharp end again. So I'm hoping we can do something similar. Like, all we need to do now is just get the likes of Eves and Kiernan to come back into the. I don't know if Eves is going to go fully fledged into the 4-wheel drive after this weekend, but anyways.
Big ships on it,
But anyways, yeah, we'll see what they say. But what are you saying, Andrew? Sorry,
I was just when you touched on earlier on, like, only for the lads too that come with us to the rallies, like, you see nowadays, like, it's a lot of it's a business for people that's going to run the cars, and we're lucky that we have a group of lads there that come to the events with us, and they come for the weekend sport, like, and really it's really only for Daniel's father, Eamon. He's probably our biggest supporter. We wouldn't be back rallying again, like, you know what I mean? And just like, Eamon's a character, you know what I mean? It's great, it was Eamon sort of asked us to maybe that we give the international events a break, because we're soaring him. Eamon was tend to be soaring himself when he's away. So, yeah, it's great, the national events, and it's great to have the lads away with us. It's the same lads that was away with us when we were younger racing, you know what I mean? So it'll just be a good weekend crack, like, you know what I mean? And we'll have a bit of a yarn and laugh, and everybody's jovial enough about it, you know what I mean? So
it's about like Oasis getting back together again, isn't it? It's like the old days, right?
Pretty good that way, you know what I mean? But,
I think if we started selling, I'd say we could probably sell tickets too, right? For the entertainment. There was good crack in the pub in Auckland there on Saturday night. I can tell you that much. Because there were a few stories.
I got offside Saturday night and went back home because I knew the crack would get going. I mightn't just to go to bed when I should, so I decided to leave and come up home here and spend the night at home. You know what I mean? But that's the crack. There's been mighty on the Saturday evening with them, like, just a good weekend crack, and that's what it's about. Like, we like to be competitive, but the fact that we can be competitive and also have a good weekend fun, like, it just feels right, like.
And then I suppose to wrap it up, then, like, is there a plan? Where next? Is it the harvest, or just wait and see?
We generally don't make a plan until the car's put on the trailer at the rally. There was a bit of chat. I don't know, Andrew. I haven't chatted too much about it, but I don't know if how did I say it? I heard John Warren on about before. I don't think he's ever had two entries into the two rallies at the same time. It's probably a bit optimistic. But there was chat about this maybe doing the Cork 20, but the harvest is obviously, I would imagine there'll be a lot of the big hitters out in the harvest, like, and we're hearing good things about the stages that's picked in the Cork 20s 2 weeks beforehand. But I don't know. I'm also having to get a free pass because it's my 6th wedding anniversary, the day of the harvest. But anyways, that's why I was going to say to Andrew, we might have to give the Cork 20 a knock it on the head, because I'll have to bring the missus out for a drop of dinner at some point in the proceedings.
There's a weekend in between to do that, Sean.
Jeez.
So thanks very much there to Daniel and Andrew, and we'll see how that whole Cork 20 thing fares out, or whether Daniel will have to go for the dinner, or what will happen. So watch this space. And then also this weekend coming up, the trailer parts and spares Lakeland stages. But the latest round of the Irish Forestry and the second round of the Northern Ireland Forestry Challenge. And what an entry they've pulled together, Conor. Over 90 entries, and the top 10 just bristling with potential winners.
Look, a really, really strong entry, and the number of R5s in there is just incredible. Like, for a forestry event, we're really seeing them start to grow and to build and to attract, solid competitors again.
Yeah, and like Patrick O'Brien and his brother Stephen, Patrick has made the journey back from Australia to defend his title. So it just shows you how much the Lakeland and the Bushwhacker are obviously coming up now in a few weeks. What it means to these guys that that they are this has been the build up for these guys. The year it's building up towards the Bushwhacker, and the Lakeland now is getting that fearsome reputation. The 16 miles up on tempo, that's going to be epic.
Yeah, brilliant, and it's great to see Patrick back, because we were all aware he took the break, and we were wondering, okay, when will he return? When will we see him back out in the stages? And I was delighted now when I saw the social media posts that he was on his way home.
That's for sure. And how do you ever even go about picking a winner out of that? As well too, because the names going down through that top 10, it could just be. Pick a name out of a hat. There's Patrick, obviously, Jason Mitchell. The names just go on and on. We would be doing it a disservice, because we would surely forget someday if we started naming names.
Look, that's always the danger with this. It genuinely is. But you're right. I wouldn't. I'd be struggling to hang my hat on any particular hook for a winner there, because that's a really solid. That top 10 is fairly solid, and doesn't take too many issues either to come up for a couple of people, and you suddenly find somebody's rising to the top of that leaderboard.
That's for sure. So let's hear from Brian Darcy, the COC for the event, and he's going to give us all the whens and wheres of it. So the trailerpartsandspares.com Lakeland stages coming up this weekend, and we're speaking to the COC, Brian Darcy. Brian, once again, Enniskillen Motor Club has pulled out all the stops and brought together a fantastic event.
Yes, we've been very fortunate that we've had some very good publicity. We are in the throes of organising everything. There's quite a bit to be organised and still a lot to be done. But I can see some light at the end of the tunnel now. It's my first time to be clerk of the course for a rally the size of the Lakeland stages. And the importance is obviously of paramount to the club that we run a good event. We're part of the McGrady Northern Ireland Forest Rally Challenge, also part of the Sligo Pallets Irish Forest Rally Championship, and a very nice one as well. We're part of the Micra Challenge, which attracts some very, very competitive young people, as well as those not so young.
Yeah, and what a rich history of the Enniskillen Motor Club has with the Lakeland stages. It's been one of those rallies that's been run now for so many years, and you look at the list of the past winners. It's a who's who of Irish rallying.
Correct. We're very lucky this year. We're actually celebrating our 60th anniversary. The club was originally set up in January 1964. So 60 years later, here we are running the Blue Ribbon event once again. And yes, absolutely correct. It has a rich history, and it has a rich history with many people involved, including some of our own motoring icons like Bertie Fisher and Austin Fraser, who sadly died very early this year. But it has certainly attracted a bumper attendance for this year in terms of the quality and the number of competing cars.
Yeah, 'cause as we talk here, you're hitting over the 80, and absolutely fantastic. And as you say, not just numbers, but the quality of entry there as well. Defending champion, the cream of the Irish Forestry, the cream of the Northern Ireland Rally Challenge, and all the micros there as well. It's going to be an absolutely epic day on Saturday.
Well, we're keeping our fingers crossed. We're hoping that it's going to be a day to remember. And yes, you have entries from quite young folk too. And I see Kenny McKinstry has put in an entry very lately, and I'm only thrilled that Kenny is coming.
Yes.
Kenny was one of the first people I would have met back in the Logan Park days, and Kenny has been an absolute terrific supporter of Enniskillen Motor Club in its various guises, whether Mayday or the Lakeland stages.
Yeah. And people that's made the journey from across Ireland to come to Enniskillen as well. And we keep forgetting about that. This is people come and spend money in restaurants, staying maybe overnight in accommodation. This brings a lot of money into the local area as well.
Well, just scanning through the entry list, it is remarkable the number of people who are coming quite considerable distances, coming from Cork, Kerry, Limerick, right down across the south. There's one guy coming all the way from Atlanta in America, and we're only too delighted to have him.
Yes.
And yes, it has a considerable effect on the local economy in terms of overnight stays. As you say, buying in pubs and restaurants. Yes, it's a brilliant boost for the local economy in Enniskillen itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the big talking points about this year's event, you've put Ballintempo, in previous years it's been split into two, but it's going to run as one full stage this year.
Well, in actual fact, Ballintempo has been joined up with Carrigan to form that 16.02 mile long, which I'm told, I don't know, I'm told it's possibly the longest forestry stage in Ireland. And we're looking forward to it with great anticipation. Some trepidation as well, because obviously you're concerned you might lose the stage through some mishap or whatever. We're hoping to God that won't happen. Yeah. But we warmed them up with Connacher first, which is around 2.3 miles long. And then they get into Big Dog for another 2.4 miles. And it should have them nicely set up then for the big one, 16.02 miles of extremely fast forestry tracks.
Yeah, and Connacher and Big Dog are again names that almost strike fear into some of the competitors as well, because they have both of them two stages. Never mind Ballintempo, have awesome reputations as well.
Well, and quite rightly so, because Connacher is probably one of the most technical short stages in the country, I'd say. Mm-hmm. We were out there today putting out some of the stage furniture. And yes, it will be a real warmer up in terms of a tester for the drivers starting the day. Big Dog has its own reputation, and that's still there. But hopefully it'll lead them all in. They'll be nicely warmed up to face the 16.02 miles combined Carrigan and Ballintempo.
Yeah, and I suppose we should say the rally is going to be based out of the Grosvenor Barracks there in Enniskillen, and it's quite a short run out to the stages, and then once you're on the stages, they almost loop into each other. There's not huge road mileage.
Well, I have to give credit to my great partner in crime, Drew Wilson, for most of that organising. Grosvenor Barracks is a fabulous service area to have. There's plenty of room there. And it's in an ideal location. It means that everybody is within the Enniskillen location. But once you get out on the road, our aim and Drew's aim has been to minimise the amount of road mileage that you have. So when you have a ratio of 40 stage miles to 60 road miles, it's hard to better that anywhere.
That's for sure.
In terms of making life enjoyable for the drivers, it's what we try to do. Yeah. The drivers, the competitors are very special to us. They're basically our customers, and it's up to us to look after them as best we can.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about being well looked after. You are very fortunate and having some great sponsors on board, like trailerpartsandSpares.com. Like, you've been with them now for, is it about 8 years? And like a real blue collar company there you have for a sponsor.
They have Hugh and Liam McQuaid have been brilliant supporters over the last, as you rightly say, since 2016. And obviously with COVID stepping in there for a couple of years, they have been behind us all the way. Firstly as Hugh Mac Engineering, and more laterally as trailerpartsandSpares.com. Hugh and Liam, we couldn't ask for more than the sort of support that they give us every year, and we're delighted to have them on board, and hopefully they will stay with us for many years.
Mm-hmm. And like, for people that want to go along on Saturday and see what's happening, what time are they going to be in Enniskillen, and what time will they be leaving to head out to the stages?
Okay, what I would say first of all is there are no spectator points in stage 1 or stage 2. Connacher and Big Dog do not have any spectator access, and people will not be allowed in. That's unfortunate. That's unfortunately the way the world is these days. The spectator points are well listed for the long stage. The first car will leave Grosvenor Barracks at 10:31. It's expected to be at to start at 11:08 on Connacher. I just want to make sure I'm not telling those. 11:32 at Big Dog, and 11:55 at the Ballintempo Carrigan stage. So from 11:30 on, there will be, things will begin to hot up down on for the spectators down on the Carrigan Ballintempo stage.
And then, even somebody just wants to go into service and have a look around, cars will be due back into service, around about 12:30 or so?
They'll be coming back into service. First of them should be back into service about 1:15.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll have roughly an hour, but the maximum will be, in order to try and regroup them, the maximum will be 40 minutes. Sorry, the minimum, I should say.
Will be 40 minutes, yeah. And that's a great opportunity for, maybe somebody that doesn't want to go out into the forest, or somebody that, that wants to bring the kids and have a wee look around. Most of the crews will be more than happy to let you have a wee look around the car, show you what's going on there, and it's a nice opportunity. It's a nice opportunity to go and have a look around and see what rallying's all about.
Well, I think that's why we like that service area so much. It does give an opportunity for the younger folk as well to get in and have maybe their first or second experience of rally cars, getting up close to them and meeting the drivers. And yes, you're absolutely correct. The drivers are really, really very good in looking after the younger folk, making sure that they answer all the questions, and it stirs the future ambitions of many of the young lads who will probably end up being rally drivers and navigators.
Yeah.
And I hope they start a bit earlier than me.
That's for sure. And like, for anybody else that wants to get involved and maybe help out marshalling on the event, I would say most clubs are always looking for more help.
Yeah, well, our chief marshal this year is Barry Arundel from the Oma Motor Club, and anybody that would like to help out, would they get in touch with Barry, please? If they want to, they can ring me. I'll give them the number, or I'll give them the email address. But I think most people would know about Barry and would be familiar with the details.
Yeah, because like, Barry is one of those guys. There's not hardly a rally anywhere covering the whole of Northern Ireland that Barry's not involved with in some way, shape, or form.
That's right. He's just come off being the chief marshal, I think, at the Ulster.
Yeah.
We've worked with Barry on a number of occasions, and Barry is a treat to work with. Nothing is too much of a problem for him, and he's a great calm demeanour about him. He doesn't panic about anything, just gets on with it, and it all happens on the day.
Yeah, and he has things done before you even know it's a thing.
That's exactly it. He is. Yes, he's one step ahead of the game most of the time. Sorry, I probably need to rephrase that all of the time.
And then I suppose, like, really all you need now is the weather gods to play fair, and hopefully a good, safe day for everybody involved.
Well, we were out on the stage with Killian Duffy when he was doing his notes for pace notes, and it probably was the worst day all year. It was a horrible sight. We were out there today, and you wouldn't believe the difference. The stages are in fantastic nick. The weather forecast is good, and I have flat knees from praying for a good Saturday.
So thanks very much there to Brian, and really wishing everybody competing this weekend the best of luck, and hopefully the weather's kind. And also this weekend is the Woodpecker, the latest round of the British Historic Championship. Another strong entry there as well too, and we have a few of our competitors over there as well. We have Gary McElhenney sitting with Seb Perez, Adrian and Ronan's over their latest, and Owen McMackin's over as well, competing as well too. So best luck to all those guys as well too. So until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.